I'm going to go over how to install an upgraded trigger for a TM Hi Capa 5.1. I picked up the orange anodized aluminum Airsoft Masterpiece Edge T1 trigger. To start, rack the slide back and align the tab. Pop the slide stop pin from the backside. Pull apart the upper and lower. Using a punch set, remove the retention pin on the hammer spring housing. Remove the hammer spring housing and set it aside. Unscrew the inside Phillips head screw, holding the lower frame to the grip assembly. Next, unscrew both of the short grip side screws. These should be a 3mm Allen key. Now you can separate the lower and the grip. Carefully remove the sear spring. You don't want to bend any of the 3 leaf arms. Next, you want to remove the magazine release, as it keeps the trigger and trigger bar in place. Using a small flathead screwdriver, just press in and turn 90 degrees counterclockwise to free the magazine release. It should pull out from the same direction as the screw head. Now you can back the trigger bar and trigger out of the grip. The Edge T1 trigger comes with a mounting pin and an over travel adjustment screw. To remove the trigger bar from the stock trigger, carefully hammer the pin out between the two. Just be careful when you remove the pin, as you do not want to bend the trigger bar. I actually popped the pin most of the way out off camera with the trigger bar overhanging the edge of a work table. You can set aside the original set pin, as the new trigger comes with a new one. Install the trigger bar into the new trigger. I found it easiest by starting from the top corner at the tip of the trigger bar and rotating it downwards into the trigger. Reinstall the trigger pin. It's easiest to use an oversized pair of pliers to help squeeze it in. Be mindful if you care about scratches on the edges of your new trigger, and you can use a towel layer to help protect it. Set the pin into its final depth using a nylon punch. Be careful again and mind the trigger bar, as you do not want to bend it. I used blue or medium strength thread locker to help secure the over travel adjustment screw into place. You need to install the screw from the rear of the trigger, so it must be installed while the trigger is out of the gun. To install it, grab it on a pair of fine needle nose pliers and screw it from the rear of the trigger. Once the first few threads have grabbed, you may use an Allen key from the front end and adjust the position so that it's fully disengaged to start. We'll set the depth and position of the over travel adjustment later on. Reinstall the trigger and trigger bar into the grip and make sure they can move freely. Now, reinstall the magazine release. Set it in place, use the same small flathead screwdriver to press down and turn 90 degrees clockwise to lock it in. Reinstall the lower frame onto the grip, including the Phillips screw and the 2 side grip screws. Install the sear spring. First, lift the hammer strut up out of the way, but be careful and mind the position for each leaf of the spring. The furthest right leaf should be on top of the disconnector, and the middle leaf should be on top of the sear and not underneath it. Lower the hammer strut down, and it should naturally rest near the middle. Next, we have to set in the grip safety. Reinstall the safety lever by first inserting the small spring and pin into the small hole on the leftward side of the gun. I use a narrow flathead screwdriver to help keep the pin depressed while I install the first half of the safety lever. Hold the lever in place and flip the gun over to install the second half of the safety lever. As you reinstall the hammer spring housing, be sure the hammer strut is in the middle and aim to direct itself to depress the hammer spring. Slide the hammer spring housing into place and hold it down while installing the set pin. Once it's held in place, you can properly and fully set the pin using a nylon punch. At this point, you can make sure the trigger, the safety, the firing, and the hammer operate all as expected. Don't forget to test out with the slide in the upper installed and check firing results with some live rounds at a chrono. To adjust the over travel screw, you can use an Allen key from the outside of the pistol now. You want to tighten the screw downwards as much as possible while still allowing the gun to fire. You can simply screw it down a little ways and then test fire, and then keep repeating until it no longer fires, and then just back the screw off a few turns.